The sliding glass door was shut. The scent trail ended abruptly at the driveway. No footprints in the soft earth. No broken twigs on the forest floor. No witnesses. No sound. In the dense woods of Nova Scotia, surrounded by miles of wilderness and silence, two children disappeared as if they had never existed at all. Lilly was 6, a bright-eyed girl who loved pink and looking after a younger brother. Jack was only 4, still in diapers, with a habit of playing in the kitchen during early mornings. On May 2nd, 2025, they vanished from their remote trailer home without a trace. No shoes left behind, no backpack found, no cameras to capture their final moments. The sliding door was closed. The house was quiet. The parents' stories didn't align. And in the days that followed, as search parties combed the woods and drones scanned from above, the questions grew darker. Why would both children disappear at the same time? Why did their mother leave immediately after? Why was the stepfather banned from seeing their baby sister? What happened in that house on the morning of May 2nd? And perhaps most disturbing of all, how could two parents lose both their children without hearing a sound? Share your thoughts in the comments section and subscribe as we delve into this mystery. Lilly Sullivan was the kind of 6-year-old who filled rooms with chatter. According to her mother, she was outgoing, energetic, and almost always dressed in pink. She was protective of her younger brother, rarely letting him out of her sight. Teachers who remembered her described a child who seemed older than her years, watchful, nurturing, aware. Jack, at just 4 years old, was quieter but playful. He still wore diapers and small boots, and like many young children, he would wake early, padding into the kitchen to play while others slept. His soft voice and gentle manner made him easy to overlook until he wasn't there anymore. The siblings formed an inseparable unit, surviving together in a household that observers would later describe as chaotic and unstable. Their bond was the kind forged by children who learn early to rely on each other when adults prove unreliable. Their mother, Malihia Brooks Murray, often misspelled as Malia in media reports, was a member of the Sipek and Katic First Nation, a Mi'kmaq community in Nova Scotia. At the time of the disappearance, she was unemployed, having left her home community to live with her partner Daniel in the isolated woods near Gearlock Road. Daniel Robert Martel, 33, was not the biological father of Lilly or Jack. He had been in a relationship with Malihia for approximately 3 years, living with her and the children in a cluttered trailer surrounded by forest. He worked just 1 day a week at a local sawmill, spending most of his time at home with the family and his own mother, who also lived in the house. The youngest child, Meadow, was around 1 year old. While Daniel often referred to her as "my baby girl," no documentation confirmed his paternity. Importantly, he had no legal custody or guardianship rights over any of the children. Their home was located off Gearlock Road in Landone Station, Nova Scotia, a sparsely populated area with no close neighbors, no security cameras, and only dirt roads cutting through dense forest. The property had no fencing, and the rear entrance was a sliding glass door. Living conditions were modest, described by social workers as concerning, with limited resources and few safety measures for small children. In this remote setting, away from prying eyes and safety nets, Lilly and Jack would one day simply vanish, leaving behind only questions and an unnerving silence. The theory points to fear, not malice, as the motive behind the cover-up. A darker variation suggests that either Daniel or Malihia, or both, may have intentionally harmed the children in a moment of rage or breakdown. Stress from poverty, mental health issues, or strained family dynamics could have escalated to violence. In this version, one parent may have committed the act while the other helped cover it up, either out of loyalty, fear, or guilt. People who support this theory point to the complete absence of emotional expressions from both adults. No tears, no public pleas, no visible grief. Their lack of urgency and distancing language, like Daniel saying, "I'm not their father," feels disturbingly disconnected. Lastly, this is perhaps the most chilling hypothesis, that the disappearance was not spontaneous but premeditated. The absence of any digital, physical, or environmental traces is almost too perfect. There are no alerts from smart devices, no camera footage, no sound, no mess. Nothing. AI satellite scans even detected a freshly disturbed 2-meter rectangular patch of ground that vanished shortly afterward, potentially a burial site. These signs hint at careful planning, concealment, and erasure. Some believe this might even point to a more sinister possibility, that the children were sold. While speculative, the theory has gained traction because of how unnaturally clean this disappearance has been. Each of these theories reflects different angles of a mystery that continues to baffle the public. Whether this was a tragic accident, a case of negligence, or something more sinister, the truth remains hidden beneath a wall of silence. And the longer that silence continues, the louder these theories become. Despite the attempts for the search, there are still no answers, no charges, no remains, no justice, only silence. The case is paused in a cruel and unfinished sentence. And so we ask, what happens next? Will new evidence emerge? Will technology finally catch what the eye could not? Or will this case, like too many others, fade into cold case archives, where only the most stubborn hearts continue digging? We can't say for sure, but what we do know is this: 2 children are gone. Not just names in a file or faces in a news report, but lives, innocent, vibrant, unfinished lives. And whatever the truth is, they deserve it. They deserve to be found. They deserve to be known. So if you still believe in justice, hold them in your thoughts. Pray that someone will speak. Pray that someone will break the silence. Pray that wherever Lilly and Jack are, they are not alone. Because the story may not yet be over, and sometimes the smallest light, a voice, a clue, a memory, is all it takes to bring them home. If you have any information that could help, share your thoughts in the comments section and subscribe as we delve into this mystery. The last verified sighting of Lilly and Jack Sullivan came on the afternoon of May 1st, 2025, when the Royal Canadian Mounted Police confirmed they were seen in public with family members. The exact time wasn't specified. Officials referred to it simply as afternoon. From that moment on, no one outside the household saw or heard the children again. No neighbors, no delivery drivers, no community members. There were no surveillance cameras to confirm their presence, no health appointments, no digital or physical trail that placed them anywhere after that final sighting. The only accounts of what happened next came from the 2 adults in the home, Daniel and Malia. According to Daniel, sometime after sunrise on May 2nd, Lilly came into the bedroom wearing a pink shirt, and he could hear Jack playing in the kitchen. He claims that a few minutes later, the house fell silent. When he went to check, the sliding glass door at the back of the house was shut, but the children were gone. Their boots were missing. Daniel said he got in his vehicle and drove around the property, looking through back trails, ditches, and wooded areas. However, it remains unclear how much time passed between when he noticed the children were missing and when he informed Malia. At 10:06 a.m. on May 2nd, a 911 call was placed by Malia Brooksmurray reporting Lilly and Jack missing. This 24-hour window between the final confirmed sighting on May 1st and the 911 call represents the most critical and mysterious stretch in the case. It was also the moment investigators began to question whether this was simply a case of 2 children wandering off, or something far more deliberate and sinister. The formal investigation began the moment Malia's call reached emergency services at 10:06 a.m. What immediately raised questions was the fact that Daniel Martel, the adult who first noticed the children were gone, was not the one to make the call. This left a troubling gap in the timeline. RCMP officers arrived at the scene later that day and launched an immediate emergency search operation. The effort included ground teams, thermal drones, search dogs, low-flying aircraft, and support from Civil Air Search and Rescue. Despite the massive scale of the search, they found nothing. No signs of forced entry, no physical evidence of foul play, no signs of an accident. No one outside the household could verify that the children had been seen that morning. The entire narrative depended solely on the world of 2 people, and where could the parents have gone to in the midst of this blooming crisis in the kid's life? On May 3rd, search efforts expanded further into the woods, trails, ditches, and creeks surrounding the remote home. Yet no physical trace was found. No shoes, clothing, toys, blood, hair, or DNA. That same day, the RCMP officially upgraded the case to a criminal investigation. The home was sealed as a potential crime scene, and forensic teams, homicide investigators, and digital analysts were brought in. Between May 4th and 6th, specialized divers from the underwater recovery team searched nearby bodies of water, including ponds, streams, and drainage areas. Once again, they found nothing, not even the items Daniel claimed had disappeared with the children, a small backpack and a pair of boots. This total lack of traceable evidence raised even more doubts. How could 2 children vanish so completely without leaving behind so much as a footprint? By May 7th, after 5 fruitless days, the RCMP reduced the scale of the ground search. They issued a public statement saying that if the children were still in the forest, their chances of survival were extremely slim. Investigators called on anyone with dashboard camera footage from April 28th to May 2nd, especially from the area around Gearlock Road, to come forward. But nothing surfaced that placed Lilly or Jack anywhere after May 1st. No trail, no witness, no camera caught them leaving or arriving. It was as if they had vanished into thin air. From the moment Daniel Martel began speaking about the disappearance of Lilly and Jack, something felt off to investigators. He was calm, too calm. He told authorities that Lilly had walked into the bedroom wearing a pink shirt while Jack was making noise in the kitchen. A few minutes later, silence. When he got up to check, they were gone. Just like that. No sound, no struggle, no explanation. He claimed he immediately began driving around the property, looking through ditches and forest trails. But what no one could ever figure out was how much time actually passed between the moment he says he noticed the children were gone and the time 911 was called. Because that call, it wasn't made by him. It was made by Malihia at exactly 10:06 a.m. That gap in time became one of the most alarming holes in the timeline. What was Daniel doing during that period? Why didn't he, the adult present, call for help himself? The silence wasn't just literal, it was behavioral. There were no signs of panic, no desperation in his voice, no urgency in his words. In every interview since, Daniel repeated the same phrases. One in particular stood out. They were just gone. I looked out the window, and I thought they might have wandered into the woods. It's a strange way to phrase the disappearance of 2 small children. There's no emotion in that sentence, just passive observation, as if he was talking about a missing shoe, not 2 living, breathing kids. Even more unsettling was his refusal to use their names in interviews. He almost never referred to Lilly or Jack directly. He said that the kids, those 2, it's a subtle linguistic detachment, but it matters. It's as if he was speaking about strangers, not 2 children he had helped raise for over 3 years. In one video, Daniel referred to Jack as Jackie, a nickname no one else had ever used for the boy. It caught viewers off guard, not just because it was unfamiliar, but because it felt oddly impersonal, using an unexpected nickname in such a serious context. Then came a statement that hit harder than any other. I'm not their father. I had no rights over them. That one sentence speaks volumes. It's a rejection not just of legal responsibility, but of emotional connection. It's also perhaps his attempt to explain why he didn't call 911. But more than anything, it highlights a deep lack of ownership in a moment when most parental figures would be breaking down, begging for help, doing anything to find the children. Stranger still, Daniel repeatedly brought up his own trauma in interviews. He said he was a victim of domestic abuse. He hinted that Malihia was violent. He talked about being misunderstood, being pushed away, being abandoned. All of this might be relevant in another story, but not here, not now. Because what was missing in all of his media appearances was a single desperate plea for Lilly and Jack. There was no, please help me find them. No, I miss them every second. Instead, his focus always circled back to himself, his pain, his side of the story. Experts in behavioral analysis call it redirecting narrative. The more he talked about himself, the less he had to talk about the kids. And the more he emphasized his own victimhood, the more sympathy he quietly tried to gain, even as 2 children remained missing. The emotional void in Daniel's interviews was impossible to ignore. There was no tremble in his voice, no breakdown, no visible struggle to hold it together. Everything he said sounded rehearsed, calculated, even distant. And when you compare his tone to other parents in similar tragedies, the contrast is stark. Most parents can't even get through a sentence without crying. Daniel, he barely flinched. One of the most haunting elements of the case was the near-complete absence of the children's mother, Maliha Brooks-Murray. In most missing child cases, the mother is often the emotional center, pleading for help, breaking down in front of cameras, doing anything to bring her children home. But here, there was none of that. No interviews, no statements, no public presence at all. What do you think would have been done to prevent it? Share your thoughts in the comments section and subscribe as we delve into this mystery. To this day, Maliha has never appeared publicly to speak about the disappearance of Lilly and Jack. The RCMP later stated that she was advised not to speak to the media, but many found her complete withdrawal disturbing, even unnatural. Her voice, her perspective, has been completely missing from the narrative, and in that silence, suspicion grew. On May 2nd, 2025, it was Maliha, not Daniel, who called 911 at 10:06 a.m. to report the children missing. While the full transcript of that call was never released, sources close to the case described her tone as calm, cold, and not panicked, a description that only added to the unease. For a mother who had just been told her 2 young children had vanished without a trace, many expected distress, hysteria, or urgency. Instead, they got calm detachment. And then came her next move, one that would define much of the public's perception of her. Within hours of the incident, Maliha left the home she shared with Daniel Martel, taking her youngest child, Meadow, with her. She moved in with relatives and cut off all communication with Daniel. She didn't return to the scene. She didn't help with searches. She didn't appear at any community vigils or events. Most chilling of all, she never shared a photo, a plea, or even a post asking for help finding her children. This behavior sparked division and debate across the community. Some said she was simply doing what the police told her to do, that staying silent and out of the spotlight was a way to protect herself and her surviving child. But others couldn't accept that explanation. What kind of mother doesn't speak her children's names? If your kids are missing, how do you stay quiet? These were the questions that began circulating on social media, on the internet, and around the dinner tables of Nova Scotia. Her silence became a void, one that was filled with rumors, theories, and suspicion. Some believed she knew something but was afraid to say it. Others believed she was being shielded. And then there were those who wondered if her silence wasn't about fear, but about guilt. Absence is never neutral. When someone who should be screaming for help chooses instead to disappear into silence, that silence becomes a statement of its own. And for many watching this case unfold, Maliha's absence felt louder than any words she could have said. From the earliest stages of the investigation, one unsettling truth kept surfacing. There was no trace of Lilly or Jack Sullivan. Not a footprint, not a scrap of clothing, not a broken branch, or even the impression of movement through the muddy ground. Despite the deployment of search dogs, drones, underwater teams, and heat-sensing technology, authorities found nothing. In nearly every other missing child case, there's something left behind. A shoe, a toy, a trail. But here, the forest remained silent, undisturbed, as if the children had never existed. There were no signs of forced entry at the home. The sliding glass door that Daniel claimed the children might have exited through was not ajar, not damaged, and with no visible tampering. No pry marks, no broken locks. Even more troubling, no one nearby, no neighbors, no passers-by, no utility workers reported seeing anyone unfamiliar near the property. Dashcam footage collected from nearby roads showed nothing. No headlights, no strange vehicles, no activity. The house sits deep in a wooded area with only a single dirt road in and out, and yet no evidence of an intruder or an escape was found. Daniel also described what the children were wearing. Lilly in a pink shirt, Jack in pajamas with boots and a backpack. but not a single person could confirm the children wore those clothes. Without visual confirmation, law enforcement had no accurate physical descriptions to use during search efforts. Digital forensics yielded the same frustrating emptiness. There were no outgoing signals from any devices linked to the children, no activity on tablets, phones, or security systems, no GPS pings, no outgoing calls, no signs of digital movement from the house. Even though RCMP requested dashcam footage from vehicles traveling near Gearlock Road between April 28th and May 2nd, they received zero useful leads. Not a single image of the children, not one recording of any suspicious motion near the house. The last verified sighting of Lilly and Jack was on the afternoon of May 1st. After that, the trail ends. No one, not neighbors, not delivery drivers, not anyone in the community, heard anything. No sounds of struggle, no cries for help, no barking dogs. Even inside the house, there was no sign of chaos or panic. Just silence. The moment investigators began piecing together the timeline, they were confronted with one troubling pattern. Nearly every critical detail came from a single person, Daniel Martel. Malihia, their mother, never confirmed that she saw or heard her children that morning. That means everything we think we know about the final hours of the children's lives rests entirely on Daniel's account. Unverified, unsupported, and uncorroborated. One of the most disturbing details involves the children's boots and backpack. Daniel stated that both children were wearing boots and that Lilly had a small backpack when they vanished. Yet those items were never recovered. The terrain was soft and muddy in places, ideal for tracking footprints or dropped objects, and still, nothing was found. No clothing, no scattered contents, no tracks. Investigators noted that it was highly suspicious for such items to simply disappear without a trace. Then came an unexpected lead, not from ground searches, but from space. Using satellite imagery from Maxar and Planet Labs, AI analysis detected a strange rectangular patch of disturbed Earth roughly 2 meters wide. The anomaly appeared in an area not frequented by the family, and then disappeared shortly after the children went missing. While RCMP have not confirmed this location as a crime scene, the discovery shifted the focus of the investigation, suggesting the possibility of an intentional burial or concealed evidence. Yet the greatest mystery might not be outside in the woods, but inside the home itself. To this day, no third party has confirmed seeing Lilly or Jack inside the house on the morning of May 2nd. Daniel allowed a video crew to film parts of the home after the incident. Even as RCMP considered it a sealed crime scene, and what was captured on camera raised even more questions. The house appeared oddly clean. No cereal bowls, no clutter. Then there was the question of their beds. In forensic investigations, signs of whether a bed has been slept in, flattened pillows, creased blankets, indentation in the mattress, can be crucial. But in this case, there was no mention of such details. It was never confirmed that the children had even woken up that morning. That absence left investigators wondering whether the story being told was a complete fabrication. The kitchen told a similar story. Daniel said Jack had been playing in the kitchen, but officers noted there were no dishes, no spilled milk, no open cereal boxes, nothing that would suggest a typical morning routine in a home with 2 toddlers. No breakfast, no signs of activity, no mess. And in a household with multiple animals, there was also no noticeable odor, no visible fur, and no fresh disarray. It was all too clean, too quiet. Perhaps most damning of all was the timing of the 911 call. It wasn't made until 10:06 a.m. Daniel claims he realized the children were missing shortly after sunrise, possibly as early as 6 o'clock or 7 a.m. That means there was a 3 to 4 hour delay before calling for help. In missing child cases, the first hour, known as the golden hour, is critical. Every minute matters. But here, the response was curiously slow, suggesting that those in the house may not have been panicked at all. All of this adds up to a chilling reality. This might not be a spontaneous disappearance. This was a controlled environment, one where evidence was either never left or meticulously removed. The house was too clean, the timelines too loose, the behavior too calm. The clues, or lack thereof, suggest preparation. In real missing child cases, there's chaos, emotion, desperation. Parents call for help immediately. They tear through the woods. They scream. They cry. But in this case, none of that happened. Instead, there was silence, control, and an eerie sense that someone inside that house already knew the children were never coming back. From a moment Lilly and Jack Sullivan were reported missing on May 2nd, 2025, it became clear that their family unit had already collapsed. Immediately after the children vanished, Malihia Brooks Murray left the home on Gearlock Road, taking her youngest daughter, Meadow, with her. She never returned, never contacted Daniel Martell again, the man she had lived with for over 3 years. Her own family took her in, and since that day, Malihia disappeared from the public eye. RCMP stated that Malihia was advised not to speak publicly due to the ongoing investigation. But silence in situations involving missing children is rarely neutral. It quickly divided the public. Some sympathized, believing she was following legal counsel and protecting her remaining child. Others were skeptical. What kind of mother doesn't fight publicly for her missing kids? The lack of emotion, the absence of pleas or interviews, raised serious doubts. She wasn't seen at memorials, she didn't post online, she didn't join any searches. Meanwhile, Daniel Martell remained at the house, but more troubling was his isolation. Malihia's family cut ties with him completely. No one from her side reached out or stood by him. In an interview, Daniel admitted, "Her family, they believe I did something. I never saw them again after that." Daniel had no legal rights over Lilly, Jack, or even Meadow, though he had lived with all 3 children for years. He wasn't their father by law or biology. After the disappearance, Child Protective Services intervened and barred him from contacting Meadow. That action speaks volumes. Even without public accusations, authorities saw enough reason to prevent him from being near a toddler. Daniel, in response, told reporters, "I'm not their father, so I don't have any rights." A sentence like that cuts deep. It's not just factual, it's distancing, it's cold, and it made many wonder how invested he truly was in the children's lives. Even Meadow's status remains unclear. Daniel often referred to her as my baby girl, but there is no legal record confirming he is her father. If he wasn't, why did he speak as if he were? And if he was, why was he barred from seeing her? This ambiguity adds another layer of confusion to a case already clouded by uncertainty. Perhaps the most haunting detail is this. Daniel appears utterly alone in every clip, every interview. He stands by himself. No one sits beside him. No one advocates for him. No neighbor, no friend, no relative. It's hard not to wonder, was this how others saw him even before Lilly and Jack disappeared? Was he always isolated, or did people choose to distance themselves after something they knew or suspected? Notably, the biological father of Lilly and Jack has never been mentioned by anyone. No name, no involvement, no public plea, no presence at vigils. This absence raises uncomfortable possibilities. Was he barred from contact? Was he deceased? Or was he simply never involved? Whatever the reason, it left Lilly and Jack even more vulnerable, with no paternal figure fighting for them in the wake of their disappearance. In the absence of solid evidence or public clarity, the case has opened the floodgates to a range of troubling theories. These aren't just wild speculations. They are grounded in the eerie behavior of the adults involved, the missing digital and physical traces, and the unsettling silence from every angle of this story. One of the most widely discussed theories revolves around coercive control. Many believe that Malihia Brooks Murray, the children's mother, was not merely in a quiet relationship with Daniel Martell. She was trapped. This idea aligns with patterns seen in emotionally abusive relationships, where one partner systematically isolates the other from friends, family, and community. Malihia, after all, left her indigenous community to live in a remote wooded area with no support network. She had no public voice, no visible allies. Since the children disappeared, she has remained completely silent. Some suggest this is not complicity, it's fear. Fear of losing her surviving child. fear of retaliation, or fear rooted in years of subtle, persistent control. Another unsettling theory is that the children were systematically removed from public systems long before they vanished. There are no known school records, no confirmed medical files, no vaccinations, no photos, no daycare logs. It's as if Lilly and Jack were ghosts to the state. That lack of documentation has led many to believe the children were intentionally hidden from any institutions that could have flagged signs of abuse or neglect. If someone wanted to make children disappear without triggering alarms, this kind of isolation would be a horrifyingly effective first step. There's also growing suspicion that authorities may be withholding crucial information. Many community members and online investigators have questioned the RCMP for their lack of transparency. The public still doesn't know if the rectangular ground anomaly found via satellite AI was ever excavated. There's no explanation about footage from dash cams or neighborhood cameras, no updates on physical evidence found in the woods. People are asking why there's so much silence. Is this standard investigative caution, or is there something the authorities don't want to reveal? Then comes the theory that hits hardest, the possibility that one or both of the adults know what happened and are staying quiet. The idea of a mutual silence pact has been discussed across social media, Reddit threads, and true crime forums. Supporters of this theory believe that either Daniel or Malia witnessed or caused something they can't take back. Legal advice, fear of arrest, or guilt may be keeping them quiet. And the fact that the two never appeared together after the disappearance, never issued a joint statement, never looked for the children as a team, makes this theory feel plausible. It's not a broken family reacting in shock. It's two people pulling apart like they've rehearsed it. For the actual disappearance, the most positive theory was that the children wandered off and got lost. It was offered by Daniel Martel, and initially the RCMP investigated along this line. The idea was that Lilly and Jack had woken up early, quietly left through the sliding back door, and wandered into the surrounding woods, eventually getting lost. But this theory quickly began to unravel. There were no physical traces, no footprints, no drag marks, no discarded shoes or backpacks, no broken branches, nothing. What raised even more suspicion was that the sliding glass door was reportedly found closed, something unlikely if two small children had slipped out alone. The lack of any sound or disturbance, especially with animals in the home, made this scenario less and less plausible. Another theory, supported by behavioral analysts and public discussion, suggests that Lilly and Jack may have already been dead before the morning of May 2nd. No one outside of Daniel ever confirmed seeing or hearing the children after the afternoon of May 1st. There were no signs of a normal morning routine, no breakfast dishes, no messy beds, no toys scattered, no noise. Everything we know about the morning of the disappearance comes from Daniel's account alone. If he was lying, then the entire timeline could have been fabricated to cover something that happened earlier. Beside that, many wonder if an accidental death was covered up. This theory posits that one or both children may have died due to an accident inside the home, falling, choking, suffocating, and the adults panicked, out of fear of legal consequences or losing custody of their surviving child. Meadow, they may have chosen to hide the truth and dispose of the bodies. Several facts support this idea. The house was unusually clean for a family with 3 young children and pets. The 911 call wasn't placed until hours after the children supposedly went missing. And investigators eventually shifted their focus from a missing persons case to a potential crime scene. The theory points to fear, not malice, as the motive behind the cover-up. A darker variation suggests that either Daniel or Malia, or both, may have intentionally harmed the children in a moment of rage or breakdown. Stress from poverty, mental health issues, or strained family dynamics could have escalated to violence. In this version, one parent may have committed the act while the other helped cover it up, either out of loyalty, fear, or guilt. People who support this theory point to the complete absence of emotional expressions from both adults. No tears, no public pleas, no visible grief. Their lack of urgency and distancing language like Daniel saying, "I'm not their father" feels disturbingly disconnected. Lastly, this is perhaps the most chilling hypothesis, that the disappearance was not spontaneous but premeditated. The absence of any digital, physical, or environmental traces is almost too perfect. There are no alerts from smart devices, no camera footage, no sound, no mess, nothing. AI satellite scans even detected a freshly disturbed 2-meter rectangular patch of ground that vanished shortly afterward, potentially a burial site. These signs hint at careful planning, concealment, and erasure. Some believe this might even point to a more sinister possibility, that the children were sold. While speculative, the theory has gained traction because of how unnaturally clean this disappearance has been. Each of these theories reflects different angles of a mystery that continues to baffle the public. Whether this was a tragic accident, a case of negligence, or something more sinister, the truth remains hidden beneath a wall of silence. And the longer that silence continues, the louder these theories become. Despite the attempts for the search, there are still no answers, no charges, no remains, no justice, only silence. The case is paused in a cruel and unfinished sentence. And so we ask, what happens next? Will new evidence emerge? Will technology finally catch what the eye cannot? Or will this case, like too many others, fade into cold case archives, where only the most stubborn hearts continue digging? We can't say for sure, but what we do know is this: 2 children are gone. Not just names in a file or faces in a news report, but lives, innocent, vibrant, unfinished lives. And whatever the truth is, they deserve it. They deserve to be found. They deserve to be known. So if you still believe in justice, hold them in your thoughts. Pray that someone will speak. Pray that someone will break the silence. Pray that wherever Lilly and Jack are, they are not alone. Because the story may not yet be over, and sometimes the smallest light, a voice, a clue, a memory, is all it takes to bring them home. If you have any information that could help, share your thoughts in the comments section and subscribe as we